Welcome to another episode of Customer Success Talks, Real Challenges, Experts Advice. Today, we're going to be talking about getting customers the results they came for. Sometimes we think that's too complicated, but actually we can do it in an easy way, simple steps. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Byron Toruño. I'm the host of this podcast, and also I'm a customer success nerd. I'm here just like you, ready to learn. And what a best way to learn than having an amazing conversation with anyone who wants to give their insights, their experiences, their story, and their expert advice to you. And today is not going to be the exception. Today we have another expert on the field. But who am I talking to? Who am I talking about? Rachel Provan, who is a customer success expert and influencer with 17 years of experience. Rachel is the founder and CEO of Provan Success, a firm that coaches customer success leaders on building revenue generating CS departments. Let me recap because this is a powerful word. Building revenue generating CS departments. It's not about only building relationships, which is fun and we like, but there's some money that needs to come in as well. Also, Rachel helps fast track any person's career and also guide those seeking for their dream leadership role. So if you're one of this, or you have one of these needs, go to the description and you will find all the information that you need. If you just want to reach out and ask anything, we are here to help as well. There's more. There's not only the success expert, influencer, CEO, founder. Rachel, you have your own podcast as well called The Psychology of Customer Success. Yes, there's also the psychology side because at the end we're talking human to human. Rachel, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I don't realize how much I've got going on until you put it all like that. I'm like, no wonder I'm so tired.
And talking about that, Rachel, can you give us a little bit of of a, an explanation, or can you tell what people will expect when they go
Mm,
and listen your podcast?
absolutely. It isn't only relevant to those in customer success. I think it's relevant to most leaders uh, and most people just in business to understand business psychology.
Hmm.
But basically, when you go on there, if you look at any of the webinars and things meant to teach you about customer success, the books, they're teaching you how it should work, not necessarily how it really works.
Ah,
In real life, where customer success is not the necessarily the priority. You're not getting set up in an ideal world. You're making do with what you have, um, and you're not immediately enabled from day one. So I like to look at that part of it, as well as our customers aren't going to necessarily do what we want them to do just because they want a result. They might have wanted a product, bought a product, been taught how to use it. That doesn't mean a damn thing because they're
yeah.
humans, and humans are not logical. We have very limited motivation. These days we're more scatterbrained than ever because
Oof.
of just the pace of everything and how many bits of information we see per second. So it's made us all almost a bit ADD. So it's really hard to stay focused on something long enough uh, to truly onboard, bring it into part of your organization and part of your everyday workflow, unless it's essential to your job and your success or failure in that role, like your money basically, is tied up in that result. It's not going to be a priority for you. You're not going to care. Like you might care a little. You might know it's on your to-do list and you need to do this, but it's not going to be at the top of your list. And we all see we don't even get to our list. We maybe get to one thing on our lists in a day because everything is flying at us. And most people are living in a fairly reactive state, especially in
Yeah.
customer success. So if something is not at the top of your list, it might as well be at the bottom. So what I do in my podcast is I look at, all right, this is how we'd like customer success to work, but let's look at how humans really adopt software. Let's look at how humans build habits, because that's really what it is, learning to use your product as a habit. And sort of what creates resistance, what creates motivation, how do you use positive influence, um, things like that to get the result that you actually want. And some of it is working on yourself as well. Mindset can sound very squishy, but at the highest level, that's what everyone's working on, because you're probably what's getting in your way the most, your thoughts. So I also teach people, about imposter syndrome, who you need to be as a leader, like the person you need to get to in yourself, the confidence level, how to do that. So it's really about people, and customer success is a lens through which we can give an example of this is how people work. We're weird.
It's amazing. Like I'm just taking a lot of notes. I'm not going to show it because my handwriting is not beautiful at
Oh,
all.
mine's terrible.
But I'm taking a lot of notes because Rachel, what I'm hearing here is that you're tackling like customer success is there, but you're even going several step up and saying, okay, let's
Yeah.
first tackle humans. We are emotional,
Hmm.
building habits, motivation, influence, working on yourself, and then
Yeah.
the other thing is going to come. It's like you said, it's just a lens where we because in our daily lives we go ourselves through change management, and same as our customers on our daily lives we have our doubtings, same as our customers. So it's like, how can we first deal with that and then help our customers? One time in Costa Rica I was working for a canopy um, agency, right? So the tourists they came, we did canopy. I was in charge of giving the tour, but also making sure that they were secure, because
Hmm.
otherwise they will fall, and I'm not,
Yeah.
ciao. But they always told me something. First, you have to be yourself 100% secure with all your equipment, so that way you can help others. Otherwise, you will not
Hmm.
help. So it's amazing what you're doing with your podcast. I definitely recommend everyone to just after this episode, you go and listen to your podcast. And today, Rachel, jumping into right away into the topic, it's about getting customers the results they came for. And the challenge that we all go through as customer success managers is actually delivering measurable results to our customers. When we were coordinating today's episode, you gave me a really good analogy about customer success and results that I definitely want to talk about again and share. And it was about personal trainers, that customer success managers, we are like personal trainers. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Absolutely. And saying this by no means a personal trainer or in any way it fits. But it's
True.
more for explanation purposes.
Yeah.
And I think we need a lot of analogies in customer success to get people to understand what it is. I think customer success at its very core exists because people don't behave like computers and don't just do what they're supposed to do. So I think an excellent example of this, because if you tell a CEO or a founder or something like that, well, customer success is here to make sure the customer, you know, receives value from the product, they feel almost insulted. It's like, why wouldn't they get value from my product? My product is good. Sure, your product may be great. It's that you're dealing with people. So, it is my belief that the definition of customer success is to get customers what they came for out of the
Mhm.
product. Yes, from there you can upsell, renew, get advocacy, but you're not getting any of that until the customers are successful with your product, meaning they've gotten the outcome they wanted. And that outcome is not automatic. So here's what I'm talking about with my gym analogy. So every December, there's a lot of ads for gyms. December, January, people are trying to capitalize on it's the new year, new you,
I'm one of them.
like, yeah, same every time they get me. And you start thinking about like, yeah, it didn't work in the past, but this time I'm going to do it. So, like I'm going to get a six pack. I'm going to have like great energy. I'm going to feel awesome. I'm going to get strong. It's going to be amazing. And you get the membership and you go, and you're excited and you go and you have your first workout and that was tough, but I did it. And, you do the second one, go a couple times the first week, maybe a couple times the second. And by the third week, I mean, it hurts.
Mm.
And you haven't seen any results yet. And even though you know that it takes longer than that to get results from a gym, you know, this is like a long commitment to get the results you want. Um, it's still it it's easy to start to slack off. And it's not because you're lazy or anything like that. It's just motivation and discipline are a limited resource. So we all have things that are at the top of our list. And it's really easy for something like that that is optional to fall down the list a little bit. Like, oh, it's, you know, I've been going 3 times a week, but you know what? It's sleeting out this morning and I had a really late night last night. I've got to work really hard to like, I'm just going to skip it this once. And then the next day you're supposed to go and, oh, now my kid is sick. And the next day it's like, well, I haven't been in a week. You know, it's just so easy to get off track with that. And it's like, oh, well, and now I have this thing that I'm dealing with work. And now that is on the top of your list and not the gym. Um, you know, just having that gym membership is
Mhm.
not going to get you a 6 pack. If
Even
that's what
though
you
you're
want,
paying.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're aware of that, you know, but it is not, and it is not the fault of the gym. It's not how it's set up. It's not anything to do with the gym that you have not gotten a 6 pack or that you don't keep going and get that. It is that motivation is a limited resource.
Yes.
And that is not a must have. You need to either get people to understand why your product is a must have, you know, understand the true value and the true consequences of not doing it. You know, like all of a sudden, if you're told, like, hey, if you don't go to the gym 3 times a week, you're probably going to have a heart attack and die, your motivation is going to be different. That all of a sudden is going to be much higher on your list than like, oh, I'd like to look good on the beach. You know, it's easy to let it go when it's just you, right?
Mhm.
Because other things are going to distract you. You're going to have other priorities. If there's a personal trainer there waiting for you, you are much more likely to show up and do your workout. Mainly because like there's someone keeping you accountable, but they're also making sure that you use the equipment right, you're being the most efficient you can be so that you're not toiling away for hours without getting results. And you're not hurting yourself, you're doing what you need to do and getting on with it. So you have that guidance and that accountability. And yeah, there are some people who can go and get the results they want from the gym, you know, never having gone before, you know, take a quick tour or watch a few videos, but they are the minority. So I
Yeah.
like to think of CSMs as we are the personal trainers. We're here to show you how to get the results that you came for. And everyone does not want the exact same result. You know, that result doesn't mean the same thing for everyone. You know, I like to talk about how when I was at a scheduling company, um, you know, our two biggest customers were education and tech sales. And the education people just wanted to use it for board meetings 4 times a year. That was it. That was all they needed. They were perfectly happy with that. And you know, anything else, please leave me alone. Um, Whereas the tech teams, you know, the tech salespeople, if they weren't using it every day, something was drastically wrong, and that was impacting their bottom line. Like that was going to screw with their quota. So they're not trying to get meeting scheduling software. They're trying to book meetings faster, get more meetings because that will result in more revenue. So same software, same single function that you could do, but it means a different thing. So we're here to make sure that you get that result you want.
Mhm. It's interesting because this analogy, it's an analogy that is common in most of our cases, always being one on January, February, with those goals of losing weight, having this body, then the motivation side, and then it goes declining. But something that comes to my mind, because like I said, I'm one of them, is that when I go and I have my personal trainer, they always ask questions. They
Mm-hmm.
always are really curious to know what you want to achieve. And based on
Mm-hmm.
what you want to achieve, that's the plan that they're going to do for you. And hello, that's what we are doing in
Exactly.
customer success. And those questions are several questions based, of course, on the experience, the learnings of each personal trainer. But questions like how many times per week are you going to come? How much time are you going to spend? What do you want? Where do you see yourself in 3 months or 6 months? So, as customer success managers, we also have to ask the right questions to be able to bring what we want from the customer, because sometimes customers, they don't know what they want. They know they have a need. They know that they went to our website and they saw all of the beautiful website and the wording and then the demo and then sales, and then we are here. But they don't know how much value and benefits they can have from our product, but they only have an idea, like a limited resource of what they can reach. So it's a lot about curiosity, active listening, and also a lot about asking the right questions to be able to reach those measurable results.
Absolutely. And it's about focusing on them, not just listening for what you want to hear so that you can check the box that you need to check.
Mm.
Um, a lot of times we'll be like, oh, you're not using this feature. You're not using this feature. Like, well, they might not need that feature to get the result they want. Like we have to make sure they're using all of our platform. Not if it doesn't get them the result they're looking for. They should use only what is necessary to get them the result they're looking for until you get that result. And then you can branch out, because otherwise people are going to be completely overwhelmed. You know, the best way to get people to change and to build a habit is to make it doable, make it small, achievable. Like we're not doing SMART goals here because I don't like them, but it has to be almost laughably easy um, to be able to build on that, because otherwise it's just going to be too big of a mental hurdle. Like I always say, the hardest part of going to the gym is putting your shoes on and like deciding you're actually going to do it. Like once you're there, it's like, this isn't bad. This is fine. What's my problem?
For me, it's to
It's that
wake up.
inertia. Yeah. Well, yeah, if you do it in the morning. Still not a gym person. What can I say? But um, but yeah, it's about listening and being like, if a customer says they have a problem, not immediately answering it with, oh, I can sell you this thing to solve it. Really find out about the problem. You probably can, but you need all the context so that you're not just sounding like you care about you and not about them. And again, this isn't about like being their friend. They know it's a commercial relationship. Um, but you're just going to be that much better at it if you understand what they're looking for. Now, if they don't know, that's where you're there to guide them as well. Like if I just went to the gym and was like, okay, make me hot. Well, that could be different things to different people. So they'd probably be like, okay, I hear you. But I don't know what that means. Sometimes when people say that, they mean, they want a body like this. Sometimes they want a body like that. I think I told you the thing where my friend copied a trainer in the park. Like she didn't want to pay for a personal trainer, and she copied a personal trainer who was working out with this woman, and she wasn't getting in better shape. Like her pants were actually tighter, and she was like, I don't know what is happening. Like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. I'm following along exactly. And she ended up chatting up this woman, and she's like, hey, do you like your personal trainer? I'm thinking about getting one. And it's like, yeah, I love him. Like my ass has grown 2 inches since I started working with him, because that's what she wanted. She wanted a bigger butt.
Yeah.
But if that's not what you're looking for, you don't want to use the stuff the wrong way to get you that result, right? It is the same with customer success. There are different ways you can use the platform, sometimes not in the ways intended. But just you're going to need different features used differently to get the right result for you. So what I like to do with customer success to make it a little more applicable, if customers don't know what they're looking for, is basically say, what does your executive leadership team talk about at all hands? What's something that if I was in a board meeting or like an executive leadership team meeting, what do you think they'd be talking about? What do they tend to care about? And I tend to lead it with, generally they care about one of four things, three that are main, but four things: make money, save money, increase productivity, and the fourth is increase security. But even productivity and security lead back to money.
Yeah.
So it's understanding, because if you ask, is your company looking to save money and be more efficient? I don't know a lot of people who are going to say no, right? So you can say, all right, great. That's what we're here to do. Let me show you how our product can help you show the executive leadership team that you have saved your company time and money. That's going to make your, the person that you're working with look good to their boss. That's going to be a
Mhm.
lot more motivating than like, hey, you need to onboard this new software, or like it's going to be easier to do this. No, now they're looking good to their boss and they're able to show measurable results, like CS is always trying to do, of how they affected those very important KPIs.
Yeah, I like the words that you're using because you're using those powerful, simple words that ring the bells on the customer minds, even on my mind that I'm not the
Yeah,
customer right now. It's like, okay, well, yeah, that's true. That's what my boss wants, and that's what I'm
right.
here for, because customers, they have a lot of things going on their minds, and like I want to highlight, make it small and simple. I like that because sometimes we tend to overcomplicate that, and I have been saying this for a while. Like I used to be one of them. I still tend to, but I'm working on it. And when it's simple, it's motivating because you reach it. Okay, you reach it, but it's not the end. We still have more to do. Okay, let's do something else. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
moving, slowly moving. It's like you put in a stick here, and then you put maybe some food here, and then you're walking towards that, right? You
Yes.
want to grab that.
Yes.
And that's what here you're making. You also talk about expansion, and I think that nowadays customer success, it's now a lot of also expansion and expansion, but that can be dangerous if you're not curious to ask the customer what they want and why they want it, because if they buy something else and they're actually not going to use it, that's going to shoot on your foot as well. So it's like, again, asking the questions of what is the process looking like for ABC process in your company, and teaching the customers how to, what data to bring. Sometimes they don't even know themselves what data they need to bring to us. So it's like,
Or they might not be able to get it. I've worked in plenty of companies where it's like, hey, I need this data, and people have laughed at me. And it's like, all right, then, good to know. Data is not always clean and accessible when we want it to be. Um, things are not that neat and pretty. What I will say, and I think a lot about sales because of the situation we find ourselves in, and I
mhm,
do think that CS tends to be weighted these days far too heavily on expansion,
mhm,
because I think that in doing that, we're forgetting like retention is going by the wayside. It's being assumed that that's going to happen,
oh
and
wow,
it doesn't. And the problem with that is when you switch your focus away from that, it's not going to show up right away. You know when it's going to show up? A year from now.
mhm.
Okay. When everybody switched their attention to, no, 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 that'll be fine. They'll keep coming back. Their customers focus on upsell, try to sell them more, try to sell them more. Well, now that you're not focused on what are they trying to achieve and getting them there, yeah, in a year, I think a lot of people are in for a world of hurt and a lot of shock when they're like, what do you mean you're not renewing? It's like, you didn't get it done, man. Um, that's why customer success is, without it, I think the metrics are, or the numbers are, if you just have support and account management, meaning just focused on expansion, and really just like contracting, just the number stuff, sales. So if you just have support and sales, then retention tends to be around 70%. Whereas if you have customer success focused on getting the customer their results that they came for, measurable results, um, then it's in the low to mid 90s for retention.
Mm,
Now,
that's high.
it, yeah, if you know anything about, NRR, NRR is sort of like, all right, what does it all look like once we've taken out all the downsells and churn and added the upsells, right? There's no way you're going to upsell an amount to make up for that amount of churn. It's
Mhm,
not that hard to keep them, but it's not effortless, right? We have to, I mean, there are a lot of steps that have to go right along the way. We can't, in customer success, we can't fix a buggy product. If it's
mhm,
not behaving the way it's supposed to, there's nothing we can do. If sales had sold to a customer who is looking for something else, like to a non-ICP customer, I like to say, like, technically you can make lasagna in the dishwasher. I wouldn't recommend it to someone who is looking to make lasagna. But it's like we have a lot of salespeople who are like, oh yeah, you can totally do that. Look, it does two things. Why would you get an oven? And it's like, because that's gross. But if you don't know anything about making lasagna, you might be like, great, I'm saving time and money. That person is probably not going to buy again next year,
Hmm.
right? They're going to be
Hmm.
disappointed. So a lot of things have to go right for us, even to be able to keep the customer. But again, there's that assumption that like if everything is right upstream, there's no need for us. And we've seen this in what it was like before CS. Now, a lot of people are taking CS teams, calling them CS, but it's really just account management and expansion, expansion, expansion.
Yeah.
And there's going to be consequence for that. I do think customer success people can be great salespeople and can handle expansion, but uh, again, it's human nature. It's that the CEOs are when expansion is part of it, they're only going to be looking at that,
Yeah.
which is why I think it's best that we stick to retention and have CSQLs to work with an account manager for expansion. That way, everyone stays in their lane. You know, most people who become CSMs did not want to be salespeople. If
Yeah,
they
that was the
wanted to be
idea from the
salespeople,
beginning. Yeah.
they would have become salespeople because it's a lot less work and a lot more glory. So now taking these people who did not want to do that, saying this is your whole job now, and not training them to do it is a pretty bad combination, in my humble opinion.
And if it's,
Um,
yeah, yeah. And if
it's not to
it's,
say we can't do sales. It's just like the way humans are set up. They're asking us to do too much, and if you stop focusing on retention, if you take your eye off that, it will leave you.
especially if you have 30, 40, 50 customers, like
Mm,
you just have an amount of day where in a percentage, a big percentage is going to be proactive and a small percentage will be reactive, plus meetings with other ones, right? So if it's going to be, it has to be done really carefully.
hmm.
And it's all
I
about
mean,
also the outcomes. Though, like once again, going back into the measurable results, once we are able to
exactly.
go have those measurable results, okay, then we can think about other stuff. But we have to bring those measurable results to keep them
Exactly.
motivated.
Right. Once you've got that down, once you're at like, 93, 95% GRR, depending on your product,
Yeah.
once you're there, by all means, like the focus should be expansion and advocacy. But you have to nail that first, and you have to teach your people how to do that part of the job. And I love teaching people that part of the job. I have to sell all the time with what I do. And I thought I hated it until I learned to view it as service, as like, no, you have a problem and I can help you with it. Like, and you don't even know what the problem is because you're doing the wrong thing to try and fix it. You think it's something else entirely. So
Mhm.
that can be a great, way to sell with kind of a CS heart, as seeing situations where your customer is going to get themselves in trouble and having their back and saying like, I know more about this, I've seen this, here are the symptoms you have, you need this part of our product because here's what happens next with those symptoms.
Right.
So that's where upsell can be great and absolutely a part of it. But again, you can't try and sell everything to everyone assuming it's the same. That's bad sales
It's
again. Like
dangerous.
you have to care about the customer and them getting what they want.
Yeah. And Rachel, I need to tell you something, and
Mm,
I hope you're ready for this.
I'm ready.
It's time to start wrapping up today's episode.
Oh my gosh.
That quick.
All right. All right.
And it's not gonna be just we're not just gonna close the episode and say bye.
Mm,
we still have me and people
yes.
listen, and we want to hear one story from you. And we want to hear a time when you fucked up or when you screwed up, and what did you learn from it? So that way we hear you and we're like, okay, well, I'm not gonna do that, definitely.
Hmm. I mean, the ones that stick out the most are personal in that sense, and I'm going to keep those under my hat. But I mean, when I tell you I F up almost every day, I fail, and I'm like, hey guys, guess what? Here's what I did today. This does not work. Please do not try this. Here's what happened. Here's what I'm going to try next time. That is something you have to lean so hard into in leadership.
Yeah.
Because if you're afraid of, I mean, we're all afraid of failing, but if you're afraid of telling anyone you failed or anyone
Mm.
knowing you failed, you're going to be in trouble because it's going to happen. It's the way you learn best. So I'm not trying to get out of the question. Um, there are a lot of favorites. I think, you know, really the one where I learned the most was the first time when I was managing a team. And it was especially hard because I'd been promoted over teammates that I used to be one of. You know, they were my friends and now I was managing them. And
Yeah, that's hard.
I assumed because we were friends and because I'm a pretty nurturing person, kind person, and I'm good with people, that I would be a good manager. Like it just
Right.
seemed kind of natural. Um, and so I was trying to be cool, like not just like a cool manager, like, hey, you know, whatever, come in whenever. Yeah, it's fine. Like whenever you think you can have that back. And that's actually really frustrating to people who are working for you because they're like, no, I need you to tell me because I don't know. Like, tell me when it's done. I'll have it done then because that means I'm doing my job right. Um, and then, you know, I would ask them to have it done or be like, what's the status of this? And they'd be like, oh, I haven't started. And I'd be
Oof.
pissed off because it's like, why
Yeah,
haven't you started? It's like, well, you didn't say when it's due. So clear is kind. Uh,
clear is
it
kind.
You have to tell them I didn't want to order anyone around. And it's not ordering anyone around to say this is what needs to be done. And here's when it needs to happen. Here's why. Here's the things available to make it happen. I think it's okay to tell people, you know, if you're worried about ordering people around, make it more about here's the why. Here's the why this needs to happen. Here's why it's important. And here's the results you need to get. Here's when we want it by. But then it's more relevant of like, I respect you. I believe you can do this. You know, I'm giving you all the information you need so that you can get this result. That's something I really had to learn. And it just really sucked. But once I learned how to do it and get comfortable with the fact that like, yeah, I can tell people what to do and I'm not being a jerk for doing it. Um, I got much, much better.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And now we are learning from this. So it's
Yeah.
the communication in the intentional communication of why. It's not just because I woke up today I wanted to say ABC. It's because it's the why behind the ABC actually. And that's
Yeah, we're adults. We need respect. You
yeah.
know, no one wants to be told what to do. They want some purpose, some agency.
Rachel, I wish I could continue talking to you. It's so simple, it's so clear, it's so a lot of stories and fun analogies as well then that comes to our day to day. But it's time to close
Yep,
today's episode. Has been a pleasure talking to you, coordinating all of this, and of course, anything in the future might come. So thank you very much for your time and volunteering to do this.
absolutely. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you again. And everyone, remember that we are expanding to Latin America. So if you go to the description, you're going to find Customer Success Talks Latin America. It's the Spanish version. So if you speak Spanish, great. If you want to learn Spanish, it's also great. Maybe I'm going to be sponsored by Duolingo, so that way everyone can have their free accounts there. But for right now, it's going to be a great learning experience because what we want is to highlight the talent and the different challenges and all of the everything that comes with customer success in Latin America. That there's a lot of challenges and great stories as well to share. And just be patient. It's common. There's 3 episodes, but more episodes are going to come. I promise you. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Rachel, again, thank you so much for your time. And remember, keep learning, keep growing, and let's keep improving the world of customer success. Until next time.